right. Good morning. What's up, everybody? As you all know, another Sunday NFL betting live stream hosted by yours truly, Matt, aka Jedi Modai, and Andrew Kim, aka the ParlayDoc. Andrew, how we doing?
Good, man. It's almost Christmas time, so getting some days off of work here and there. So nice
There you
little
go.
lull and just relax with the fam here and there over the holidays. Watch some sports, make some money, but nothing better than that. So
Yeah, that's nice. You have time off, so you can spend it sports betting.
exactly. There you go. There
Nice.
you go.
That's good stuff.
There you
go. All right. Well, we got we had 3 games yesterday, so it's not the biggest slate in the world. But what I think is, I looked it up. I think it's we got 11 games today, so still a pretty good slate. We can just jump right into it. Game number 1 that we're going to go through: Falcons Panthers. What do you have in this one?
Oh man, I'm not going to have much on the main market because it's 2 ugly teams. Apparently, there's weather that's going to be involved. Not just whatever, but like rain. It's just wind. The wind factor seems to actually be a legit factor. So if I was going to touch the main market, which I'm not, I would simply tease up the total for an under, and then maybe. The other one I was eyeballing was maybe, teasing up even the Chiefs Patriots under higher, if you want to do a simple 2-leg parlay, or tease down the 49ers spread, in my opinion, against an atrocious Cardinals D. So if you're going to mess with this one, I might tease up that under on this game to match it up with one of the other 2. But in terms of player props, one last time, Matt. One last time. I'm going to put faith
Bijan Robinson.
Oh, how did you know I was going
knew
there? How did you know I was going there? I know I haven't bet a lot of TDs in our recent episodes, but man, if you're going to give me plus 150 on FanDuel for basically probably your most legitimate red zone threat with an inept offense, one more time as a masochist. Let's go Bijan Robinson for decent odds, plus 150. That's going to be my player prop of this game. Keeping it simple. I don't even care how many touches and receptions or lack thereof he gets. I just want him to freaking score. And if you don't, then you just pack it up, Falcons. I mean, there's no point at this point anyway. But yeah, Bijan Robinson touchdown plus 150 on FanDuel's the best odds I could find right now. So.
Yeah, I'm with you on Bijan. He's one of my plays as well. So we're in agreement there. The notes I have, he scored, and it seems like Arthur Smith finally got out of his shell and his stubborn old man curmudgeon-y whatever he was doing, because Bijan has scored in 4 of the last 6 games with a total of 5 in that span. So one game he scored twice. My first play, which is kind of in line with backing Bijan Robinson, is Desmond Ridder under 179.5 passing yards. Excuse me. Yeah. I got this at ESPN Bet at minus 115.
Okay.
Which, side note, shout out ESPN Bet. They let me bet normal amounts on player props now. So whatever happened when I first downloaded the app, they limited me to 10. Now I can at least get 50 on a player prop. So shout out ESPN Bet for at least letting me get 50 on player props. But
I will say as well, I showed you that screenshot. I was limited to $0 and 0 cents. And now I can bet up to maybe, depending on the prop, maybe $100 at a time. So I'll acquiesce. 100 is better than 0.
Yeah. Shout out ESPN Bet. We roast the sports books for the limits. So we'll give them credit when they let us bet 50 or $100.
There you go.
But anyways, so Desmond Ridder, under 179.5 passing yards. Last week, I feel like this is the perfect opportunity to sell Desmond Ridder. Last week, he threw for 347, which is by far the most he's had in an entire season. That was also against the Bucs, who you can throw on, who you absolutely cannot pass on. Or excuse me,
run on. Yeah.
You can't run on. Yeah, sorry, you can't run on. Now it's like the total opposite. They have the easiest rushing matchup in the entire NFL. The Panthers are literally the worst team in the NFL, or worst rush defense in the NFL, according to DVOA. Yeah. And we all know Arthur Smith. At the end of the day, he's a caveman who wants to run the ball. So in a game like this, which we'll get to the weather, bad weather, he just killed it last week. I think that the opposite is going to happen. Prior to last game, he had gone under this number in 4 straight games. I think that's going to continue. And then also, so Roto Grinders is who I use for weather reports. Mm-hmm. This is the exact quote from Roto Grinders about this game. It's going to be rain buckets in this game all game long, plus winds around 50 miles per hour and up to 25 miles per hour for most of the game.
Oh, geez.
That is not good at all. So, yes, we're fading Desmond Ridder passing, and I think backing Bijan Robinson. I wanted to pump up his rushing yardage total. I'm just worried that, like, if it's such a gross game that they're going to beg them to throw and they're not going to be able to. So they're just going to be running it into, like, 9-man fronts. So I worry about, like, how efficient Bijan Robinson is going to be, but I do like him to score overall.
Okay, well, how about this? This is a nice audible here. What about rushing attempts? Let me go look it up on props.cash for his trends real quick.
That's a good. Let me pull it up on odds.
So we don't even have to think about efficiency here, right? We could throw efficiency out the door. We just need the game script to go according to plan, right?
It's pretty juiced. So his over under is only 14.5, which is pretty low. You can let me know what props.cash has in terms of if he's like clearing that, especially recently when they've finally been committed to him.
Okay, so here are the last 5. I'll give you the last 5. 10. Oof, not good. But that was against Tampa Bay, like we said. Okay, so 10. Against the Jets, though, not bad. 18 good attempts. The Saints, 16 attempts. The Cardinals, which is an outlier, 22 attempts. And then prior to that, the Vikings, 11 attempts. So he's covered this 3 out of the last 5 with one outlier in each end. Arizona, anyone can run on them. And the Bucs are hard to run on. He got 10. But 3 out of 5. And then if we're saying bad weather, I don't know. That's not bad.
That's pretty good
right now. I like our.
The odds are pretty juiced, so it's best offered at Bet Rivers at -127. I will not give a Bet Rivers a shout out because they limit me to like literally $2.50 on a bet, but it's -130 on DraftKings, so you're getting a little bit worse odds on DraftKings. I like that. I'm going to lock it in as we speak.
Yeah, me too. Right now. Bet Rivers kind of lame too at this point for me, but
they are super lame. Bet Rivers is super lame. All right, but anyway, so real quick, people are asking why are you limited? It's just how often you beat CLV is really what it comes down to. It's not about how much money you make. It's not about how profitable you are. They just look to see, is this person consistently beating CLV? If yes, then they're going to limit because they don't like people doing that. It's really as simple as that. It's lame. It's super lame.
So,
but that's what it is.
Matt's absolutely correct, Jeremy, because if you think about it, and this is where people, and I don't want to spend too long on here, they misconceive. They're like, oh, like because you're winning or you're doing this. Like sports books want action. And when I say sports books, I mean real, actual, like hardcore sports books. As long as you're getting action and you are smart as a sports book with line makers setting the lines and shifting odds appropriately, you just want action. You don't care who wins or who loses. Like you're making money from what's called the VIG. Like you just make a commission essentially. Yeah. So you would just want as much action as possible. The problem is a lot of these sports books aren't true sports books. They call themselves sports books, but they're media conglomerates, and they just want people who don't know about line movement, CLV, positive EV. They just want you to just waste your money. And if they see that you're someone who constantly beats line movement, they don't want you betting, basically, which is to me is dumb. Because if you have all these smart line makers and actuaries, you would want all the action you can get. But that's my one comment on that. So
no, you're 100% right. Someone asking about Flacco passing yards. I do have a Flacco play. We'll get to him. He's actually the next game. We'll get to him in just a second. And Ben, don't worry, you will get your anytime touchdown parlay. We'll get you that at the end of the show. Okay, so next game. We're all good on Falcons Panthers, right?
There's not much. Minus, I like just the Bijan angle, and I like our little audible. I'm good there. Yeah.
All right. So Bears Browns. I have Joe Flacco over 34 and a half passing attempts. I got it at -110 at ESPN Bet. This is another game that's going to have bad weather, so there is a little bit of a concern there. But Roto Grinders is who I use for this. It's going to get better as the game goes on. Flacco, we were on his attempts last week, he went over, and they were literally winning that game the entire game. There was like passing. It was like the worst possible game script for Flacco passing attempts, and he still went over. He threw it 45 times. Now, in this game, I mean, the Bears, you know this better than me, have actually been playing much better recently. If it is a gross game, I don't expect it to be a total blowout. And the Bears' run defense specifically has been really, really good the past 2 months. Basically, since they made the trade for Montez Sweat, their run defense has been really good. So I don't see this being a scenario where the Browns are going to have a lot of success running the ball. I think they're going to need to keep throwing it. And for whatever reason, Whenever Joe Flacco plays football, he throws the ball a million times. In 2 starts this year for the Browns, 44 and 45 attempts. We gave you all the stats last year, like in games that he actually started and finished. If I can pull it up real quick. So these are the last 10 games. So one game he barely played, doesn't count. 39, 59, 44, 52, barely played, doesn't count. 33, okay, his one actually low one. And then this year in 2 starts, 44 and 45. I don't know if he just calls audibles, like they call a run play and he gets to the line of scrimmage and just calls an audible for a pass play. I don't understand, but for whatever reason, Joe Flacco throws the ball a ton. So I was on his attempts last week. I'm going to be on it again until the books catch up. Joe Flacco over 34.5 passing attempts. Again, ESPN bet -110. What do you have in this one?
Oh, I love that. I wasn't the one who thought of it last week. You were, but you saw me when I texted you. I'm like, after our show, I smashed his receiving, his passing yards, his passing attack. I just went crazy on Flacco, and Flacco came through. So I'm gonna ride that Flacco train with you. All I know is Flacco in his own mind, he's the greatest quarterback of all time, and
and that's all that matters. Yeah.
So, I am gonna go, even though I'm all decked out in Bears gear, I'm going to go Browns -2.5. And that number has actually slid down under a field goal at some books. So you can get it at -2.5 at my dreaded points bet at -110. I'm a Flacco fan. I mean, I've always just kind of liked Flacco just because he just throws the damn ball nonstop, for better or worse. But he came through. Myles Garrett just causes Justin Fields and our Bears and our D-line or O-line nightmares. And he's been looking healthier and healthier. I know in our previous episodes I was concerned, but he looks like the nightmare that he is. And historically in the last couple of years, I mean, he has destroyed the Bears. I mean, with all the pressures and just chasing downfield. So he's a nightmare. Flacco can actually pass the ball and move the chains. Turnovers have been a huge problem for my Bears. Man, as much as I like Justin Fields, like,
he cannot take care of the ball.
He just can't take care of the ball. I mean, he's like the Josh Allen of rushing of quarterbacks of, Josh Allen's passing interception streak. I mean, I don't know how many fumbles Justin Fields has had in the last few, and this is not the team you want to fumble against or turn the ball over against. So for all those reasons, God, and this is where I know now the Bears are going to win, so Bears fans can thank me. I am going to go Browns -2.5. I'm going to tell you right now, fans, my track record of getting Bears correct with spreads, I've traditionally been on the wrong side of it, but this smells to me like a Browns cover. Okay. I think the under is not a bad angle, but my official play is Browns -2.5. Another prop that I'm going to go with is Justin Fields over 10.5 rushing attempts. You can get over 10.5 rushing attempts on Bet Rivers, -124. You can get something comparable, I think, on DraftKings, but Bet Rivers is where I'm going to find the best odds for me. He has done this since he came back, 12, 12, 18. I don't know that the wind so much is a huge thing, but it's going to be rainy. And like I said, it's really that Myles Garrett factor where he's going to be so pressured. And that time clock in his mind today is going to be ticking much faster than typically. I think he's going to stop after 1 or 2 reads max, and he's just going to scramble and use his legs. So for those reasons, all those factors combined, I like him just scrambling a lot today. And so forget efficiency. I'm going to go with attempts. One outlier. I was looking at touchdowns here in this Bears game. So Harrison Bryant. Oh my God. Yeah, his odds are high.
It's because of Njoku, because Njoku's been on fire. That's why.
Yeah, Njoku's been on fire, but Harrison Bryant, he also got a touchdown from Flacco, I believe, a couple games ago. So in my mind, I'm just saying Flacco seems to like his tight ends. I know that the Bears aren't the best against tight ends. This is one of those Tommy Tremble type of plays, guys.
There you go.
So a little bit sprinkle. Instead of, I think, obviously, if you want to go safer, go Njoku. But I don't know. He's been targeting these big dudes in the red zone, Flacco, in those last few games that he's been starting. So why don't we take a gamble here on Harrison Bryant at huge odds for a touchdown? He's somewhere in that 850 range, I believe. So
I was going to say, what's it at? I'm trying to look it up.
I think it's at 800, 850, depending on what books you have available.
850 at Caesars and FanDuel, 900 at ESPN Bet.
Well, 900. Go with 900. Let's go with 900 right now, guys. 900 at ESPN Bet. There we go.
I don't hate it. I was actually, I didn't look at the Harrison Bryant one. I'm not going to say that, but I was gonna ask you. I wasn't sure what you thought about the Justin Fields rushing. So I was actually going to ask you about that. So it kind of looks like we're in alignment there. I actually would take, if I don't have anything on the main line. If I did, I actually would take the Bears. I think they're going to win straight up. I would take them to actually win.
All right. Faith in my Bears. I like it. I'd love it.
So whoever you think is going to be right about the Bears game, you can tail there. All right, we can move on. Next game, Bucks versus Packers. What do you have in this one?
Oh man. I'm not gonna lie. The Packers and Love really screwed me, and that really sucked the previous week. But I am gonna back the Packers. I'm gonna go Packers bounce back spot -3.5 on DraftKings, almost at even money, -102. Obviously, I wish it was at 3 or lower, but I'll still go Packers -3.5. Kind of referring back to what Matt was saying about the Bucks and the outlier game with Desmond Ridder. Look, if Desmond Ridder,
That's
if
fair.
goddamn Desmond Ridder can cross the threshold of 300 passing yards, like, I'm sorry, this is a prime bounce back spot for the Packers. I don't know that the Packers are going to care that they're going to expect a pass heavy game. I don't think they're going to try to force the rush. I think they're just going to say, F it, we're going to pass nonstop. So Bucks are decent against the run, not so much against the pass. An Action Network, they spare me the research myself. Like an Action Network article said, the starting corners on the Bucks, 110th, 92nd, 74th in rankings, in statistical kind of deeper analytics about their rankings as corners. So that explains the Desmond Ridder outlier effect last game, right? So just this one, simple for me. Just give me Packers -3.5 without much thinking on it.
I like it. As we speak, I'm locking in Packers -3.5 because I can get a really good price on Sporttrade. So if any of you are in Colorado or New Jersey, Sporttrade is giving you a really good price, -104 on Packers -3.5, where every other book has it juiced the other way in favor of the Packers, or they have it at -4. Like the Circas, who are sharp, have it at -4. I agree with you on the Packers. They're like hit or miss, which is always what's scary about a young team and a young quarterback, but I'm not a believer in the Bucks. My play on this one, this was a play that I had a pumped up prop. I'm doing Mike Evans, 110 plus receiving yards, +380 at DraftKings. Nice. You could do +100 plus receiving yards, but it literally went from +260 odds to +380 for the extra 10 yards. And every time Mike Evans has gone above 100, he's like just blown it out of the water. In the 3 games, granted, it's only been 3 times, so we're calling our shot here, but 171, 143, and 162 receiving yards in all 3 of the games that he went over 100.
Okay.
This is kind of also a fade of what happened last week. He only had 1 reception on 6 targets. That's clearly the outlier. Mike Evans has been relatively pretty awesome this year. Now in this game, I mean, I'm agreeing with you that the Packers are going to be winning, so I think that the Bucks are going to be throwing. Chris Godwin's out. And we all know that in general, Baker Mayfield loves to hyper target Mike Evans in general. Packers starting safety Darnell Savage is out for this one, most likely. And stud cornerback Jair Alexander is questionable. Now he'll probably play, but that's still 2 of their secondary pieces that are banged up. So after a down game last week, I like Mike Evans to have a good one in this one. I was debating receptions, but he's more of a deep ball receiver, and Baker Mayfield's much better as a deep ball thrower than consistently moving the chains. So that's kind of why I wanted to go with yards.
Yeah.
But I also like Evans to score as well. Let me look up to see what the most current odds are for that, because they're always shifting. But if you like Evans to score, you can get him at +170 at ESPN Bet, which I think is pretty good.
Nice.
All right. We can move on. Next game, Jets versus Dolphins. I'm taking this is a straight spread. I'm taking Jets +8.5, -110 at Caesars. I wouldn't be shocked if the Jets won outright. So if you want to sprinkle on the money line, you can. The Dolphins are just so banged up. Like whether Tyreek plays or not, you can't just gut through an ankle injury. Like we have definitive proof of that. So even if he plays, I don't think he's going to be 100%. We know what the Dolphins offense looks like when Tyreek Hill is banged up. I mean, they were disgusting last week against the Titans. They only scored because like the 2 fumbles, all their points were basically off turnovers. Now like the Achane is going to be most likely out for this one. If he does, he's going to be hampered.
Yeah.
And I get that it's scary backing Zach Wilson, but like I think this game's going to be gross, so I like the under as well. And I think at least the Jets are going to be able to keep it close. And I will say, for those of you that are in here, if any news on Devon Achane drops while we're in the middle of this, let me know, because I'm just in a dogfight of a fantasy football matchup with someone who's my friend who's literally going to be my best man at my wedding next year. So I really, really need to beat him. We're in an absolute dogfight. So if Achane gets ruled out, I need to pivot. So anybody in the chat, keep me posted on any Achane news. But regardless, I'm on the Jets spread in this one. What do you have in Dolphins Jets?
Man, it's so weird to say at this juncture of the season that I would hesitate when you can get like the Dolphins under like a touchdown and a field goal, but I'm hesitating, man. I don't know, man. To me, this is kind of a stay away from if you're on the Dolphins side of things. But I mean, think about this. This has been smashed down to -7.5 on PointsBet, and it's sitting there staring at me, like begging me to take it. But I'm just worried, man. I'm just worried just because of Hill, like you said, you can't just make an ankle get better. There's O-line issues across the board, regardless of whether all these people on the O-line play or not. It's just they're all banged up. Some of them are questionable. Austin Jackson at safety, Xavier Howard. I mean, all these people. I mean, you got corners. You got I know everyone's banged up, but these are like legit injuries, right? And so this is really like a vulnerable spot for the Dolphins here. That I don't know, man. I know it sounds weird. I almost feel safer teasing up the total here and then matching it up with that Falcons Panthers in a 2-leg teaser parlay. If this dips under somehow, I think live, if you can catch the Dolphins at like 6.5, that I might take. That I might take just because because that's so damn low. But if it's at 8.5, yeah, I would go Jets. So I don't have an official play on the main market just because I'm so concerned about the injury status. But I will go Mostert for a touchdown. I think I'm gonna partake in that. And I know that sounds weird. I was actually shocked when I looked at Mostert. Let me pull it up here real quick. I didn't know how many touchdowns this guy has.
He scored 1 million. Yeah, he scored 1 million.
2-1, 2-1-1, 3-1. I mean, like he's missed a couple games here, but good Lord. I mean, he is. I didn't realize how much of a touchdown was, because you think of Tyreek Hill, Jalen Waddle, Tua, and the prolific, passing game that I've kind of taken for granted. How often Mostert has been scoring, basically. So that's one of my only few props in this is just to take him, just like in the other game with Bijan Robinson. You can still get plus odds, which to me is great. I mean, you can get him at plus 120-ish right now at like Bet Rivers. So I'm just going to go Raheem Mostert to score a tutty versus the Jets. So that's one of my player props, just because I'm worried about the main markets with all the injuries with the Dolphins at this point.
Yeah, that's fair. That makes sense. All right, we can move on. Next game, Chiefs versus Patriots. What do you have in this one?
Oh, that one easy. Under 39.5, -110 on FanDuel. No hesitation. I think we're actually getting a fair bump in the total because of that offensive outburst that the Patriots had in that first half. That, to me, I think is an isolated outlier. I don't think that's a trend of anything to come. Okay, so I don't think that the Patriots have been that good on defense, but I do think they're underlooked as a decent defense. And then you have the Chiefs, who obviously, in terms of the passing D, I don't think you're going to be able to move the chains from a passing angle. So that means Belichick's going to have to run it, which means clock drainage. We all know about the Chiefs' offensive woes, so I don't know how sexy the win looks for the Bills, honestly, in terms of like quality win. So all these things to me scream we're actually getting value for the under here. So no hesitation. I don't even care about the side. Under 39.5 in what should be an offensive struggle. The other player prop I have is Ezekiel Elliott rush attempts. I know it's kind of high, but I'm going to go over 17.5 attempts, -103 at Bet Rivers. So that's my player prop of the game, is just rushing attempts. I don't care about efficiency. I just want Belichick to be stubborn and say, we will keep Mahomes off the field and frustrate them, even if we gain 2 yards per carry. And that is my angle on that prop.
Yeah, I mean, he had 22 last week. And for what it's worth, props.cash has him projected at over 19 rushing attempts. So even at a high number, you could actually get over 15.5 at -120 at both DraftKings and
Oh, it's been even crushed
Bet,
down some. Okay.
BetMGM.
I'll
It's
have to go
still
and do that.
17.5 at a couple books. But yeah, I mean, that 15.5, I think it's the opposite. I think those books are just slow to update. So I'm actually going to also lock that in as we speak.
DraftKings 15. To me, that's crush. Take it. I mean, if you go look at the trends, he has not covered this a lot, but I think this is a situational spot. I think this will be a defensive struggle, so they don't have to give up on the run for most of the game, in my opinion.
And yeah, he hasn't cleared it, but you also have to look at the fact that how many games has he played without Ramondre Stevenson? You know what I mean? Like, it's not a lot.
That's the other factor too. Exactly. So 15.5. All right. I'm glad I didn't lock that in just yet. So okay. That's a lock now for me.
Yeah, I just put that on in DraftKings. My play for this one, I'm with you on the low scoring. I'm actually just taking the Patriots team total under 14.5. It's minus 130 at Caesars, so it's a little bit juiced, but I think getting that like over 14 or getting the over 14.5, so you can take the under, I think is important. I am in total agreement with you that I think that first half was an outlier. They scored 21 points in the first half, did not score the rest of the game. They only had 303 yards of offense in that game, majority of which came in the first half. Like, I think that's more of an outlier than anything. They still, on average, are scoring 13 points per game. The Chiefs are allowing the third fewest points per game in the NFL. And prior to Thursday Night Football, the Patriots had scored single digits in 3 straight games. And overall, on the year, they haven't even gotten to double-digit points in 5 games. So those are all against good defenses. We have enough data now to know that the Chiefs are actually a good defense. So I love being able to fade the last game that the Patriots played where they scored 21, and they won the game. And everybody, I think everybody just remembers the first half. Oh, they look good in the first half. They, 2 touchdowns to Hunter Henry and Bailey Zappi was moving the ball. But it completely slowed down in the second half. So I'm totally with you on the Zeke angle. I'm totally with you on the under. I'm just kind of taking it at a different angle, just taking the Patriots team total under.
Makes sense.
All right. Next game, Giants versus Saints. I got another player prop here. I'm taking Wandale over 3.5 receptions. This is
plus money. Plus
110 at ESPN Bet. That's right.
Look at this. Look at this. In sync here.
Are you on the same play?
ESPN Bet plus 110. That's what I have listed as my main bet for this game.
There we go. All right. Perfect. Well, I can give my notes and you can see if you have anything different. He's actually been playing better the past couple of weeks, both DeVito and Wandale. He's hit it in 2 weeks in a row with 4 and 6 receptions. He's had 5 and 7 targets the past 2 weeks as well. Granted, that's a small sample size, but also you have to remember that Wandale last year looked like he was coming on, and then he tore his ACL, so he missed the first part of the season. And then when he came back, he was a little good when he first came back with when it was still Danny Dimes. And then he had a rough stretch when it was Danny Dimes, and it was Tyrod, then it was Danny, then it was DeVito when DeVito sucked when he first started. Now DeVito's at least competent, and he's looking for Wandale more. So I really like the fact that we can get him over 3.5 at plus 110. So I don't know if you have any other notes to add, but that's what I'm on.
Yeah, no, I made just a note to self to go back and check, but I still don't see it up. Because Darren Waller might play today. I was just curious to see where they would set his line because, look, like you said, DeVito's playing better, but he's not a world beater, right? So in my mind, I always go back to my very rudimentary theory of throw it to the big body, but I still don't see any lines up because I don't know what his official status is. Maybe even the books haven't said anything yet because that was my only other double check. Now, the other thing I wanted to look at was I don't like it actually, so I'm not going to recommend this, is Taysom Hill's going to be back. But man, I don't know, man, plus 180 for a touchdown. That's, even though the Giants are susceptible to someone like him running it in the red zone, that's not juicy enough for me with how sporadic and how horrible the Saints are in the red zone. I mean, if it was plus 250, I would have taken it, but so that's a pass for me. I mean, I was really hoping the odds would be better than that, but yeah, I like Wandale for all the other reasons. So I'd written down Wandale Robinson over 3.5 receptions plus 110 ESPN Bet, just like Matt. So
yeah.
Disappointed there's nothing with Waller that's up right now. So
yeah, in terms of touchdown, you can get Alvin Kamara at even money at plus 100, which I think is pretty good.
It's not bad.
I haven't officially locked that in yet, but Olave's hurt, and yeah, I guess Taysom Hill is coming back, but Alvin Kamara 2 weeks ago scored, last week scored. Yeah. They're using him in the goal line more. And props.cash is green on basically all of Alvin Kamara's projections. So I think that it's even money, I think, on that is not a bad play.
Not a bad play.
Something to keep in mind for our touchdown parlay. All right, next up we have Texans Titans. What do you have in this one?
Oh man, this is another crappy one because what? CJ Stroud's still what? I mean, he's doubtful,
He's out.
right? Because he's officially out. Okay, and then Nico Collins was questionable the last time I checked.
That I don't know about him, but I know that. I mean, Tank Dell's out for the year, and and Stroud's definitely out, and then Collins is questionable.
And that's what makes this sucky, guys. So because of those factors, it's as simple as that. I mean, if you have no CJ Stroud, we already knew about Tank. If Nico Collins is not even healthy and he's going to be running around out there, do you think I have faith in like Davis Mills or whoever else, the other third string, second string guy, they're going to march out there? I don't really think I have that much faith in the Titans being able to move the ball, but I mean, I'll give the coaching edge to the Titans. So I'm not touching this, but if you wanted my lean, I would actually lean towards Titans. If you can get them at -2.5, I'd say take it. If it's at -3, maybe. Anything above that, I would just stay away from this game because this could be a cluster F of a game with all the variables that I mentioned. But yeah, the Titans, if you can get them under a field goal, but I'm going to stay away from this game. This is one of my passes for today. I don't have much of anything in main markets or props. So
yeah, I have a prop. Derrick Henry over 66.5 rushing yards, -115 at ESPN Bet. Henry crushes the Texans. That we all know that based on his entire career. Not that I'm necessarily saying he's going to have that type of game, but last year, 219 rushing yards, 126 rushing yards in 2 games against the Texans. Granted, it's different situations. I get it. Regardless,
that's not bad though. I mean, I've been shy on Henry this year, but this is a spot where I think the Texans are going to have 8,003 and outs. I mean, so this is not a bad spot for that actually. So
yeah, to me, I think the strategy with Henry is in games you think the Titans are going to win. That's when you back Henry because I looked into it a little bit more. So 66.5 is his rushing total over under. If you isolate it in games that the Titans are winning at halftime, he's cleared it in 5 of 7 games. And outside of that, he's done it in 2 of 6. So it's a little bit confirmation bias, which is like, in games that they're winning, they're rushing more. Like, of course. But if you look at games, if you just look at Henry this year, he's very hit or miss. Like he has games 122, 101, 102. And then he has games with 20, 24, 34, 38, 43. It's like if winning equals give the ball a ton to Derrick Henry, if losing equals play Tyjae Spears more. So even if this is close, like I wouldn't be shocked if the Texans won just because Will Levis is so hit or miss. He could be phenomenal. He could be terrible.
Yeah.
I just think that they're going to run the ball with Henry a million times. So I'm on his over 66.5. If you want to take his anytime touchdown, I don't think -115 at ESPN Bet is terrible considering it's Henry and they're going to, again, give him a million carries.
Let's pull another Bijan here. I'm going to look at his rushing attempts. It's kind of high. It's already steamed up. Never mind. I think it started closer to like over like 14 or 15.5. Now it's already up to like 16. I think the best place you can find is like over 15.5 at like ESPN Bet for like -155. No, the rushing yards is probably a better angle at this point. That's pretty high.
Yeah, I'm seeing 16.5 most places in FanDuel at 17.5.
Yeah. No, rushing yards. I might tail you on that one. Rushing yards sounds pretty decent on that angle. So,
cool. All right, moving on. Next game, 49ers Cardinals. I got another player prop here. I'm taking Brock Purdy under passing attempts under 29.5. It's a little juiced at -125 at ESPN Bet. This I was kind of shocked to see. Brock Purdy has only gone over this number in 3 games this year. He's literally only attempted 30 or more passing attempts 3 times. I think that just kind of goes unknown because he's so efficient with his passes. So he'll throw 27 times and he'll throw for 300 yards because Debo breaks one, Ayuk breaks one, Kittle, McCaffrey. Like they're so dynamic with other weapons. And I think this is going to be a game where the 49ers just run the ball a million times. Like you can run on the Cardinals. Since week 10, the Cardinals are allowing the most rushing yards per game. They are 28th in terms of rush defense, according to DVOA. And if you look at the entire season sample size, they're allowing the 2nd most rushing yards per game. And we've seen games like this with the 49ers, where with Shanahan, like the quarterback will throw 10 times if he doesn't need to throw. So that's kind of what I think is going to happen here. I think Brock Purdy He's probably going to have a good game, but I just don't think he's going to pass a ton. So I took him under passing attempts, under 29.5, -125 at ESPN Bet.
Yeah, I don't blame you. And yeah, I think those wonky metrics, I think it's reflective of exactly what you said. I mean, efficiency, their defense being so dominant, and then they just can shut it down basically. And you just never know. Like, would they have one of those off games where it's tighter than you'd expect? That's when he'll cross that threshold. But like, yeah, I mean, I don't know how close this one will be, even though the Cardinals have been a little bit better on offense since Kyler's come back. But I'm not even going to overthink this one. And I know I say that a lot for the 49ers, but it's played out pretty well for me statistically, riding the 49ers in these kind of spots. It's interesting. It's you get like a 1 point discount at FanDuel. It's at -11.5 instead of the 12.5 that it's everywhere. So I'll take that 1 point discount, and I'm gonna just keep life simple. I know that means I need more than just a touchdown and a field goal, but I don't know that the Cardinals can stop the 49ers. I think the Cardinals can put up a few, but I don't know that they could stop them for 4 quarters. So I think eventually 49ers are just going to pull away. Simple as that. -11.5 on FanDuel, -115. It's not the worst. So I'm going to take that. And like I said, I really, I don't see it going any other way. So I think teasing them down, I'm going to do a straight up -11.5. I'm also going to tease them down to -6.5 and mix that with various things like even like Rams money line, which we'll talk about later. So I'm going to take Rams money line and 49ers -6.5, and you can get that at -110 basically at certain books. So I just like the 49ers to run away. The only reason I'm not going to go crazy on player props is once they start pulling away, I don't know what the hell they're going to do. I never know. They could stop passing totally. Their second and third string running backs might just get touches, and CMC's just rested for the playoffs. So I'm not even going to mess with that stuff because I do see this as a runaway game. So,
I mean, if you like the non-CMC angle, you could get maybe a backup running back
Mitchell,
touchdown. Exactly. Yeah. That's exactly what I was looking at. You could get, let's see, Jordan Mason at +500 on ESPN Bet, +450 at Caesars, or you could get where's Mitchell?
I mean, what? I mean, look, and I
+240.
I hate to hedge here, guys, but if this is, look at halftime, mark this down with a pencil somewhere and say at halftime or the early third, they're up by a ton. You should look at the live odds and see which of the two, Mitchell or Mason, are getting more touches.
That's
and
true.
Then also the lines are going to inflate for those guys. So it's the games where you can reliably run on someone and it's going to be a blowout. Those are the games you kind of mark down and you say, who are the backup running backs and what are the odds ballooned up to? And then you could sprinkle like a couple bucks for like a lotto ticket, hoping that one of these backup running backs score. So I would say watch that live and, just mark it down to see, like, maybe I can catch him at +900 in like the third quarter or something. So I would say that's an angle to take. So
that's not bad.
If it's a tight game, just pass. Don't even bother. But I would say keep an eye on those two backup running backs. And if CMC is going to get rested, just see what the odds are late in the game.
Yeah, I mean, you hope the 49ers are smart enough to not just wear down CMC.
You would hope. You would hope. But they already won their Super Bowl against the Eagles. So,
that's true. They already won the Super Bowl. That's true. I see a comment here. Wandale up to -125 now. You can still get him at looks like -106 at FanDuel. This is over 3.5 receptions. -103 at Bet Rivers, and those are your two best. So if you can use Bet Rivers, I would take him there. If not, you can take him on FanDuel -106.
Yeah, I don't know if I take it at -125, honestly.
No, definitely not. Definitely not. Part of the value was the plus money.
Yeah.
I see a comment here about like for Debo anytime touchdown. Jeff, I'm not going to talk you out. Debo's awesome. It's just, like if they get up 14-0 and Debo hasn't scored yet, then maybe he doesn't get the ball more. It's very unknown in those non-important games.
Yeah, Jeff, I mean, my concern, just like Matt, is I think anyone on the 49ers can score today. Like, I mean, it's just like anyone can score in the Cardinals. It's like, I think that's the problem. Like, I don't know.
Yeah, anyone can get it. All right, next game, Commanders, Rams. What do you have in this one?
Easy, no hesitation. The Rams offense, I didn't foresee myself saying this earlier in the season. We were just like, the Rams are just like, minus Puka having like a breakout start. I mean, we're just like, the Rams are just a cluster F, but the Rams offense, I was surprised by they're averaging like 35 points a game. They're like 9th in offensive DVOA, and it's not even just the passing game. They've somehow got their running game together.
Kyron's been awesome.
Kyron's been. I'm like, Jesus, like who are you guys? Like you somehow sneakily under the radar are just like you guys are basically almost like the Ravens offense. From a metric standpoint, they're crazy. So to me, I already kind of gave you a sneak peek in my like teaser comment, but I don't see the Commanders being able to keep up. I mean, look, the Commanders are up and down. Sometimes they can break out, but they're so inconsistent on both sides of the ball. You got rid of Montez Sweat and gave him to my Bears. You don't have Chase Young, so you don't have that pressure coming, to Stafford. Just give me Rams -6.5. I know that's a bit large of a number, but their offense is humming so much. Give me them to just cover with a touchdown. So I'm not even going to overthink it. Rams -6.5, and you could pretty much find that everywhere at this point. So,
before I get mine real quick, I guess you can get Dolphins -7 now. So it does look like
okay. God, they're baiting me. CJ,
so it looks like the markets
baiting me,
steaming towards the Jets on this one. What's my favorite player prop? If you ask me my favorite one, I'd honestly say it's a Desmond Ridder under passing yards. In a game that's going to have terrible weather and already a team that doesn't want to throw the ball. I think if you only wanted to take one, I think that's probably my favorite one. That and the Joe Flacco passing attempts, I think are really good.
Yeah, Flacco is just a monster. He's just like, I don't care, man. He's just throwing the damn ball.
So all right, for this game, Commanders Rams, I have 2 pumped up props on this one.
Let's go.
So all right, for the Rams, pick your poison between Puka, Kupp, and Stafford. I really wanted to take Stafford 300 plus passing yards, but it's not that great value. You're getting like plus 198 is what it was when I last checked. I don't think that's good enough for him to get 300 plus passing yards, especially if it ends up being a blowout.
Yeah,
they could just lean on Kyron the entire game. Like Kyron's rushing total is in the 80s. It's crazy.
Yeah. No, I agree with you. I think that's just not high enough with the risk you would take because McVay just loves the run. I mean, he'll stick with the run if he can.
Exactly.
It's just...
So then it's between Kupp and Puka in terms of passing. I'm not super strong on either one. I chose Puka. So to give you my actual pick, I chose Puka. Puka. It's so confusing to say. Between Cooper Kupp and Puka Nacua, you will never say it correctly the first time.
The hybrid player.
Yeah, I chose Puka Nacua, 100 plus receiving yards. It's at plus 270 at DraftKings.
Plus 270. Okay.
Like I said, it's basically pick your poison, but the Commanders' passing defense is pathetic, absolutely pathetic. Since week 10, they're giving up the capital THE, the most passing yards per game in the NFL by a wide margin. They're giving up 307 passing yards per game. They're the only team in that stretch that's above 300, and only one other team besides them is even above 290. So they're getting just smoked, absolutely smoked through the air. And both Puka and Kupp are awesome. Kupp had over 100 last week. He's been a little bit more hit or miss this week. It's actually kind of surprising that Puka's been the more consistent player. Even in games that Kupp has played, Puka is averaging over 8 targets per game. So he's still getting a ton of work. And again, that is that's limiting it to games that Kupp has played. Yeah. Obviously, if you filter the entire season, it's going to be way higher than that. But even with Kupp in the lineup, he's still getting fed targets. With Kupp in the lineup, he's gone over 100 twice. He's a little bit more of the deep threat for the Rams. Now, both are good deep threats. Both are good possession receivers. They're both good. He's a little bit more the deep threat than Cooper Kupp is. And that's where you can beat the Commanders is through the deep ball. So that's why I officially decided to ride with Puka. You're getting a little bit better odds. And I think they're almost 50-50 to do it. If you wanted to take both 100 plus receiving yards and just hope that one of them does it, because they're both plus money, you're going to guarantee profit. And I wouldn't be shocked if both did it. So that's one angle you can take. Again, this was one of my official pumped up props. I took Puka. I also, another pumped up prop, took Sam Howell, 300 plus passing yards, plus 210 at DraftKings. This is not me saying that I think Howell's going to have a good game, but the Commanders are the most pass heavy team in the NFL. And now in this game, they're not going to have Brian Robinson. So they're going to be even more pass happy than normal. They're probably going to be losing. So they're also going to be
behind. Yep.
Exactly. Yep. They're also going to be passing it a ton. He's gone over 300 plus passing yards 5 times on the year, but another game he had exactly 299. Another game he had 290. So that's basically 7 of 13 games where he's hovered around 300. And the Rams defense has been better, but you can throw on them. Like if you just look at the last 9 quarterbacks that they've played, 8 of the last 9 have gone over their passing yards over under. That's terrible quarterbacks. That's good quarterbacks. Just whatever their over under is. 8 of the last 9 have gone over that. And on the year, the Rams have allowed 3 passers to get to 300. I also like Sam Howell passing attempts over 38.5. Last game, he only threw it 23 times, but prior to that, he had gone 40 plus in 6 straight games, and he's gone 40 plus in 8 of his last 9. So I think because the last time we saw the Commanders, they were terrible, and he only threw the ball like in the 20s. I think people are forgetting how often he throws the ball, and it's an adventure based on who the ball goes to with Sam Howell. Terry McLaurin could have 0 targets like he did last time they played. I just know that he's going to throw a ton. So I like him to get to 300 plus. I did not expect for me to have the most plays in the Commanders versus Rams game, but that's just here we are.
Yeah.
So we can move on. Probably the best game of the day, Cowboys Bills. I'm just taking the Cowboys plus 2.5. I don't hate their money line either. It was best offered at plus 120. When I last checked, we can see what it's at now, just to give people updated odds. Plus, looks like now it's best offered at. So it's been steamed down a little bit. Plus 115 at Sport Trade, plus 110 everywhere else. I know the game is in Buffalo, and the Cowboys are a little bit better. Not a little. They're better at home than on the road. But also, it's the Cowboys' opportunistic defense against Josh Allen. Yep. Josh Allen could throw for 400 yards and 4 touchdowns, or he could turn the ball over 4 times. I think both are likely, and the Cowboys are the most opportunistic defense in the NFL. So I'm not you like to say you're not overthinking it. That's kind of how I feel. I'm not sure the Cowboys should be underdogs to anybody that's not the 49ers at this point in time. In Buffalo, not in Buffalo. Initially, it looked like the weather was going to be a factor in this one. The last I checked, again, on Roto Grinders, looks like most of the rain is actually going to avoid the game, and it's going to be a little bit windy, but not enough to severely impact passing. So the Bills are like one of those teams that can beat anybody and lose to anybody, but this is more so, I just don't think the Cowboys should be underdogs to anybody. So if I can get plus money or plus spread for the Cowboys, then I'll take it.
No, I hear you. Without hesitation, I took Cowboys plus 2.5.
There we go.
Minus 110 on PointsBet. I think we're getting value here. I referenced it earlier. I don't think that. Yeah, I mean, look. I mean, it's good for the Bills. They needed a win. They got the win against a legit team, but I also don't think it was the highest quality win against a struggling, still can't even find their offensive identity, Kansas City Chiefs. Okay, so. I think because of that, if you're on the Cowboys side, you're going to benefit getting a little value here. Because I don't, imagine the Bills had lost to the Chiefs. Like, where do you think this line would have been at, right? I mean,
it would have been flipped. It would have been Cowboys minus 2.5.
That's what I'm saying, right? I mean, so I think from that perspective, I think the Cowboys, you have some value here. So the other one player prop that kind of stood out to me is Josh Allen INTs or interceptions. God, I mean, this has been.
Was it minus 200?
No, it's minus 150. It's minus 150, and right there, Matt's reaction right there tells you when you compare actual hit rates and you kind of have implied probability versus where the line maker said it. Who knows? Interceptions are such a fluky thing, right? I mean, that's such a fluky thing. But good Lord, guys. I mean, he has had a hit rate of 11. I'm looking at props.cash. 11 out of 13 games, an 85% hit rate. 85%. Okay?
He's crazy. He's thrown one in 9 straight games.
9 straight games. So when you say you set the line at like a minus 150 line, you're saying, I mean, that's like the odds to the actual hit rate is so off right now. So this is purely just a mathematical play. Again, this is fluky. This is not spreads. This is not totals. Interceptions are a fluky prop, but I don't know, man. I mean, like that just jumps out of the page is like that there's some value there when they haven't adjusted this to like the mid upper 200 minus 200. So purely a value mathematical play, but give me another Josh Allen pick against a team that actually can cause turnovers and picks.
Oh, yeah.
So I'll take it. I'll take it.
No, I think that makes total sense. All right, last game, Ravens versus Jags. What do you have in this one?
Ravens -3.5. Last time I checked, it was -102 on DraftKings. Of course, I wish I didn't have that hook, but I'll the way the Ravens have been playing, I'll take it. Ravens -3.5. Yeah, I mean, Trevor Lawrence has another week to be healthier. But if Kirk's not playing and Ridley's been hit or miss, I'll just take the consistency that is the Ravens. So give me Ravens -3.5. The other prop I have for this one is Lamar Jackson passing yards. Still not that high. I'm surprised that it's still not as high as this, but Lamar Jackson passing yards is still at over 213.5, -113 on ESPN bet, where I can actually bet some money now. So I locked in Ravens -3.5 and Lamar over 213.5 passing yards. Jags are going to let you pass the ball, dink and dunk. He seems like this year he's willing to take what teams are giving him. So give me the dink and dunk and accumulate over 213.5 mixed in with their rushing game. Those are my two strong plays for the game. So
sure. So a couple things before we get into mine. I meant to mention this earlier. I like this FanDuel boost, Allen, Dak to get to 225 and CD to get to 50 plus. It's at plus 150, so it's like a 3-leg parlay for plus 150, but it's watered down. It's not bad. I don't know the actual EV on that. I would check Promo Guy on Twitter. He's who I use for these boosts. And just on my initial thoughts, I think that looks good. And then Scott had a comment here. McCaffrey, anytime touchdown, has a great hit rate. Would you bet on him to score at his odds this week? It's a different scenario. Josh Allen was -150 to throw an interception. Christian McCaffrey's -295 to score a touchdown.
Wow.
So it's just a totally different scenario in terms of odds. It's a great hit rate, but -150 versus -295 are two different things. So a little bit different situation there.
Scott, maybe check and see. Sometimes FanDuel and places offer this. See what a first half touchdown is. That might be.
It's not a bad play.
But look at the odds, though. I mean, even that's got to be worth it to you. But if you could maybe get plus money for a first half TD, that's where he's likely going to score, right? I mean, so he's going to be the primary red zone option against the team that is vulnerable to running, and I guess they're going to run. So yeah, maybe see what they offer as a first half touchdown. See if you can get something closer to even money. Or else I'd probably just stay away. And I know there's a lot of people on Twitter who but it's like free money. It's free money. I guess. Yeah. I mean, I'm not going to argue it has cash, but if you apply that same mantra with those odds and you bet it consistently, you'll just end up losing. So it just depends on your view on that. But yeah, I don't argue he's very likely to score. So
yeah, I mean, to think about it, put it in perspective, -295 has a win percentage of basically 75%, which McCaffrey does clear that, to be fair.
It's a weird
he does clear
scenario.
That, but yeah. In general, relying on something to win 75% of the time in terms of betting is tough. I do the opposite. I bet plus money for the same logic. Like, you win half your bets, you're making money. You win less than half your bets, you're still making money. To each their own there. All right. So Ravens Jags, I'm on the under on this one. Under 41.5, -115 at BetMGM is the best price there. This game, and you're maybe wait. So the issue with waiting is if the weather stays the way it is, that total is going to get steamed down. But as of right now, there are winds up to 50 to 60 miles per hour as a storm is. This is through Roto Grinder. So I'm not a meteorologist, but there are winds up to 50 to 60 miles per hour while as a storm moves through Jacksonville. During the game, it's going to be up to 40, consistent winds up to 40 miles per hour. If you think about it, anything above 15 is when passing starts to get affected.
Yeah.
Anything at 40 is don't even bother. You throw the ball up in the air and then it just flies a different direction. So I think that as the day goes on, unless something changes, which is obviously possible with the weather, I think this total is going to get steamed down to the 30s because of how disgusting the weather, specifically wind, is supposed to be. Wind affects points more than rain. And this is graded in orange on Roto Grinder, which is basically this is going to be severely impacted by the weather.
Oh God. So, well, guys, you might want to second think my Lamar Jackson thing, because I knew the weather was going to be bad in some of the other games. I didn't know the wind was that bad in this one. So you may want to pass on my Lamar Jackson total on that one. That's
why it's so low.
That's kind of rough. See, I need to look at weather more, just like Matt does. So
yeah. So anyways, I'm on the under. I also do like the Ravens to win and cover. They're way more equipped to handle a bad weather game than the Jags are, because the Jags throw the ball a ton with Trevor Lawrence. Monitor the weather. You run the risk of losing the value in terms of the total. But if the weather stays the way it's supposed to be, it's going to be terrible. It's going to be absolutely terrible weather. This is also why I think every stadium should have a retractable roof. So this doesn't happen. I've been on that take since I've been a kid. It doesn't make sense that we have a $1 billion sport affected by the weather. It's the stupidest thing in the world.
Yeah, it is. It is.
Especially when it's wind. Like if people like snow games, that's fine. Play through snow. Wind is totally different. Anyways, Mayweather asking about Garrett Wilson receptions. I have not looked into this. I know that Zach Wilson, who sucks, hyper targets Garrett Wilson. I've generally always been on Garrett Wilson receptions. This week, I just wasn't. But it's at -125 at Bet Rivers and ESPN Bet. Everywhere else, it's in the -160s, -150s. And
I like it. I like it.
OddsJam, for what it's worth, does have Garrett Wilson over 4.5 receptions as a positive expected value play.
Yeah.
Even at -125 odds, they have their true line on that at -130. So there is some value there.
Good
so
find.
I do like that one. Cool. All right, that's every game. A little bit of a marathon slate, but that's okay. In terms of DGen parlays, so the anytime touchdowns that we talked about, we're both on Bijan, so that one I think we have to add.
Sure.
The weather is a concern there. If he doesn't score because offenses don't do anything, so be it. Sure. You liked Mostert to score.
I did, yeah. I did.
So we can add that one. He's at +125 at FanDuel.
Okay.
The only other one that I liked was Kamara. The value isn't great. He's at total. He's at even money. At least last I checked. Let me make sure that he's still at even money.
Mm-hmm.
Still at +100. So with those three alone,
how about one of your Rams guys? You were high on Puka and Cooper. I know for yards more than scoring, but
actually the odds just changed in our favor on Mostert. Now that 3-leg parlay of Bijan, Mostert, and Kamara is +1,004, basically +1,000
for running backs. Okay, all right,
3, yeah,
I'll take it then for running backs. All right, that's rare to have like 3 juice running backs to cross the 4-digit mark, but
yeah. So I'll put a quarter unit on this one.
Okay, not bad.
And then let's do one more with a smaller unit size, way more DGen. So do we want to do a touchdown one? Do we want to do a pumped up one? How do we want to go about this?
Let's do pumped up. Let's do pumped up. Let's do like non-TD props. Let's do like one. Let's pick like either Puka or Cup or whichever one you want of those. And because you're right, I think the Commanders, not in addition to giving up yards, they give up a lot of deep balls. So I think there could be a chance for huge chunk plays in that game. So
yeah. So my official play was Puka. If we want to just switch it up, we could do Cup. So that way, if Puka comes through, we're already cashing that.
Sure.
So you want to do 100 plus at +220 or 90 plus at +162?
Let's do 90. Let's do 90 because
we can do 80 at +114 if we want to be even safer.
Let's do 80. Cup, for some reason it just hasn't been his. Whether it's because they're keying up on him, he's not fully healthy, but I could see him having a decent game here. This is a game to smash against the crappy Commandos. So okay, Cup 80.
The Commandos. All right. Who else do you like for pumped up props?
Let's see here.
Bijan 70 plus is +110 rushing yards. I know we're on him for touchdowns. I don't know if we want to double dip on Bijan.
Yeah. I was trying to see if there's something with Flacco we could throw in there, but I don't think you can ladder.
You can't ladder, and you can't even parlay attempts.
Yeah, I know that's the problem. So, but
we could do yards. Like if we want to do 250 plus passing yards, it's +158.
That's not bad for 250.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Let me just look at how he's done this year. Both games 254, 311. So we could do. He's hit that.
So not unreasonable. Not unreasonable. Yeah. Flacco. Okay, so Flacco.
So we got Flacco passing, Cup receiving.
Okay.
If you want my pumped up props, I had Howell 300 plus, and I had Mike Evans 110 plus. I don't know if you want to have 2 in the Commanders Rams game, but that's just what I had there.
Mm-hmm. Ooh, who do you trust more? I know Howell's going to throw nonstop, right? I mean, it's just a matter of will they connect. Ugh.
Yeah.
They're not going to run the ball.
No, they're not. They're not. They're not going to run the ball. That is.
Or do we go your Henry route? Like you said, Texans smash spot, right? And we just
Could do
gamble
Henry.
that it's one of those big Derrick Henry games, right?
Yeah, we could do Henry. Rushing yards, 80 plus at plus 120.
That's not bad. Plus 120 for 80. That's not undoable for him. He just needs to break out 1 or 2 chunk plays, basically.
Exactly. Yeah. All right, let's do one more to get this to an even 4.
Okay. Cup, Flacco, Henry.
So we don't have anything in Bucks, Packers, nothing in Giants, Saints, nothing in Falcons, Panthers, nothing in Jets, Dolphins.
Do we go? Both of us had that theory. The Packers can pass. Is Jordan Love already juiced with his alt yards?
That's true. That's a good point. We could do Jordan Love 250 plus for even money for at
even
plus
money.
Plus
Even
100.
Money. Okay. That's respectable.
Or we could do 275 at 188.
Oh, greed. Let's see here. Real quick. Let me see what props.cash for whatever it's worth. They project. I don't know. They project him at like 246-ish or something. So maybe we stick with the 250. He's had, here's his numbers: 218, 267, 268, 322, 289. So he's crossed that 2 times in the last 5.
His last 5 games. Last week was bad, only 218. Did you already read this out?
For his passing yards, Jordan Love. He's crossed 250 4 out of 5, but he has only crossed 275 2 out of 5. So.
Yeah, all right, let's do 250. It's a little bit safer. So that's plus 2,300 odds.
That's not bad. Well, that's higher than I thought it was going to be. So
$10 to win 230.
Okay.
All right. So to confirm, the 2 parlays that we're locking in, the anytime touchdown one is Bijan, Mostert, and Kamara. That's plus 1,004 odds is what I got it at. Hopefully that's still the same. And then our pumped up one, we have Flacco, 250 passing yards. Jordan Love, 250 passing yards. Cup, 80 plus receiving. And Derrick Henry, 80 plus rushing. So I like the symmetry there. 250, 250, 80, 80.
There we go. That's a sign. I think that's a sign, Matt. So
that's a sign. All right. Appreciate everybody for joining. This is one of our more viewed streams, which is awesome. I love to see that. I will not be able to stream either of the next 2 weeks going home for the holidays. So this is the last time you'll see us together until the playoffs or maybe week 18, which is always playoffs, which is week 18 is always a slot fest. But regardless, hope everybody has a happy holidays. Andrew, hope you have a happy holidays as well. Let's all win our bets today, and we'll catch you in 3 weeks from today.
Let's make some money, guys.